honorable guests, esteemed professors, dear friends, thank you for joining us today at the closing ceremony of the Year of China. My name is Max Song, class of 2014, and I'll be your MC this afternoon. This Year of China at Brown has been a terrific event, full of great speakers, cultural performances, and artistic and other events. Today's performance will take place in two venues. The first will be here at Andrews Dining Hall, and at 5:45, we will relocate and the ushers will guide us to Stewart Theater on University Main Green. Afterwards, there will be a reception with lanterns, delicious food, and drink. To start us off, I would like to invite Professor Matthew Goodman, Vice President for International Affairs and Professor of Anthropology, to the stage.
Thank you, Max. 大家好，布朗大学中国年以后，你们应该说一点儿的中文，对不对？ After a year of China at Brown University, everyone here should be able to speak a little Chinese, right? After our year of China, everyone should be able to talk about the history, the culture, and current and social and political events in China with greater knowledge and appreciation of the complexities that are sure to characterize China's role in the world for decades to come. It's been a whirlwind of learning, enjoying, and witnessing. Students, faculty, and staff, and the broader community have benefited in so many ways from the Year of China. We're very grateful to those who've made it possible. Thanks to the amazing efforts of Professor Cheng-Yi Tan, the day-to-day stewardship of Shana Weinberg, and the energy and ideas of many of you, we have witnessed this year a wonderful student-made video, Across the Seas, lectures by leading artists, scholars, scientists, and political figures, performances by dancers and acrobats, and a magnificent lantern festival. In addition to Professor Tan and Shana, I'd like to thank the members of the Year of China Steering Committee, Professor Cynthia Brokaw, Wendy Edwards, John Eng Wang, Vern Henderson, Evelyn Hudahart, Carrie Smith, Jay Tang, and Glenn Tong, and students Max Song, Shuo Yang, and Xiao Liang. In recognition of their tireless contributions to Brown's Year of China, we'd also, at this time, like to present Professor Cheng-Yi Tan and Shana Weinberg with gifts of remembrance. Cheng-Yi, this is for you. Cheng-Yi will be spending the year in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, and elsewhere. We expect him to carry this wherever he goes. And Shana, where are you? There we go. Thank you so much for all your work this year.
Thank you, Professor. Next up, I would like to invite Professor Tan to say a few words.
Thanks, but that's probably more than a few words. 9 months and more than 100 events later, we're approaching the last formal events of Year of China for this academic year. It is fitting to take a retrospective look of how far we have traveled and what may lie ahead of us in the coming years. The Year of China's slogan is opening doors and opening minds. This catchphrase has steered us well as we set our goals for the programs and organized various events over the past year. We hope that it will continue to be a guide to planning and shaping our future. Nearly 6 years ago, under the leadership of President Simmons and the then Provost Kircher, Brown began to seriously focus on internationalization. We recognized that in order to be a leading national and international institution, Brown's curriculum and research emphasis must be increasingly global. For our future, it is essential to make Brown more a part of the world, a world in which the Chinese presence is immense. The Year of China is a natural extension of Brown's strategic initiative of internationalization. Our program has a dual purpose, which is to introduce our community to Chinese culture and to examine China's current and future roles on the world stage. Over the past year, we have considered China in the broadest possible terms: its culture, history, people, geography, and neighbors, and its relation to the world. This perspective incorporated the historical homeland as well as Greater China, a term which includes those communities whose history traces their migratory routes back to China. Throughout the year, we have explored the rich culture, economy, and the politics of Greater China by investigating its past, examining its present, and contemplating its future. We examined China's historical past through many events that were part of our program entitled Creating, Discovering, and Producing. The arts and the sciences have flourished over China's long history and continue to define its present. Artists, filmmakers, writers, and scholars visited our campus and enhanced our understanding of the long trajectory of cultural production in China. Many departments, centers contributed their support and expertise to this effort, and we particularly wish to thank the Creative Art Council, East Asian Studies, History Department, Art History Department, Science Center, Theater Arts and Performance, MCM, RISD, Heffenreffer Museum. This list is just endless. And I thank them all for their help and contributions. Allow me at this point to digress for a moment and return to our slogan, opening doors and opening minds. This opening door policy is something probably most of you have heard more recently, which is associated with the policy of economic liberalization by Premier Deng Xiaoping. This consequence was far-reaching, and every one of us is experiencing right now. Of course, this slogan also has a longer history, the interesting story to tell. In fact, it is the lack of an opening door policy ultimately hurt China. China would accept only hard currency in return for their goods. The demand for tea by the Western world in the 19th century led to a trade imbalance that prompted the British to produce opium in India for the special purpose of introducing them to China. The Chinese government's opposition to this drug shipment ultimately led to the Opium Wars. The crushing of Chinese resistance to the opium trade by the British Empire is the lowest point in the Sino-Western relations. However, at the beginning of the 20th century, here is a Brown story. Jiang He, class of 1858, then serving as Secretary of State, persuaded France, Germany, Britain, and many other countries to join the United States to uphold Chinese territorial administrative integrity and not to interfere with free use of treaty ports within their sphere of influences. This open door policy, negotiated by He, a Brown alum, and agreed upon by other countries, at least in principle, that started a new phase of Sino-Western world relation, which has a far-reaching consequence, as I will briefly allude to. In fact, this opening doors and opening minds, this issue which works in both directions. Even now, most Westerners do not realize the true history of Western imperialism over China. Let me return to our retrospective look at the Year of China activities. In order to understand contemporary China, we organized events under the category of China in the world. The recent and extraordinary growth of China has far-reaching impacts. Educational exchange has played a prominent role in China's development, and Brown has benefited from these exchanges. China's place in the world is a result of exchanges and circuits in all domains of human activity. This possibility of exchange can again be traced to the open door policy started by Jiang He more than a century ago. Thanks to various student groups, alums at Department of East Asia, American Studies, Visual Arts, and many others, we have highlighted the reciprocity and relational processes at work at Brown over this past years. Our third and final category of examination was China's future role in the world. Given its status as a world power, China's internal development is a matter of global significance. We explored issues such as urbanization, environmental quality, economic equality, political evolutions, and considered their crucial impacts on China's future standing as a world leader and global partner. We're grateful in this context, particularly to Watson Institute for International Study for their significant support. Speaking personally, one of the most powerful and impressionistic aspects of the Year of China initiative was learning about the story of individuals. Our slogan, opening doors and opening minds, took a very personal meaning when applied to the experience of people affected by the policy of China. This year is, in fact, the 100th anniversary of the first Chinese student to graduate from Brown. You are about, if I do this right, to see an interview with the granddaughter of the first graduate of Brown in 1912.
They came here, my grandmother came, and we went first, I think, to Ithaca, and studied English.
Is that the video?
Yeah.
Wrote about Brown, and decided that since Brown didn't have any Chinese students, he thought it would be a good place for him to learn to speak.
So there's a video?
Yes. Could you turn the lights off?
Mr. Ithaca, it was very, and studied English.
So, which one were you playing?
Look, this is the whole thing. You have to start to kill.
But could actually went to the first undergraduate.
Something is playing. Do you know which one is playing?
This is the same thing.
Right. They were both Baptist schools, Baptist affiliated schools at that time. And so they came, and
Do you know which one is playing?
This one. This one.
And so they came. And then they came here, my grandmother came, and they went first, I think, to Ithaca, New York, and studied English for a year, and then he sort of wrote about Brown, and decided that since Brown didn't have any Chinese students, he thought it would be a good place for him to learn to speak English well and be able to not use Chinese at all. My uncle came shortly after. I think his graduation date was very soon after my grandfather's. And then my father and his twin brother came. And the reason they came was because I think there was a connection between their undergraduate school, which was Shanghai College, and Brown. They were both Baptist Baptist affiliated schools at that time. And so they came, and the other part, of course, was that my grandfather had been here. And so they came. And they had graduated from Shanghai College, and but they had to do their undergraduate somewhat again, but maybe not all of it. So they both graduated around 1928, and then they went on to graduate school at Brown. The eldest uncle, who graduated shortly after my grandfather, joined the Communist Party when he went to MIT for graduate school. He remained a communist, and when the communists took over China, he remained in China and helped.
How to kill this thing? Well, okay, the audio didn't come out too well, but just interesting to point out, her grandfather came to Brown, graduated in 1912. Then subsequently, her father, uncles, all came and graduated in class of 17, 24, 28, and Elaine herself is class of 61, and her sister was class of 62, and her daughter was a class of 95. And this was a whole generation. Now, speaking even more interestingly, her uncle graduated in 1917 from Brown, went down to MIT to become a earn PhD in physics. And as she pointed out, he joined the Communist Party at MIT and went back to China and served China for all these years. And I have not had a chance to look it up. He probably was the first physics PhD professor in China. And for those of us who study physics afterwards, presumably were students of students of students of her uncle, who studied at Brown, returned to China as first professor of physics. Okay, let me just continue then before we can finish this part. Now, throughout this initiative, we recognize that the future of America and China are inextricably intertwined. Thus, part of what we have explored was, in some sense, really about ourselves, that is, about America. With the help of many, we have been able to interpret China broadly. We have engaged the campus community as much as possible and touch on many subjects as time and money would permit. Now, in this context, I particularly would like to thank President Simmons' role in this. She has always challenged us to do more with less. And in fact, with her challenge, with help of all various departments, we were able to maximize the resources to put together this year-long program, and feel very grateful. And of course, I should also thank all the various members of the advisory committee, various alum group, both in Beijing and Shanghai, and in particularly, would like to thank Shanna for help putting everything together. Now, I think I should cut this out, make it short. Let me just say that I mentioned that as we explore China in the past, look at the future, and of course, we also would like to examine the present. And I have already particularly mentioned in understanding China, its past and its future, we have to understand its cultural heritage. And in particular, part of the Chinese culture involves tea. And tea already plays such an important role in understanding the recent past of China. And we will have another occasion today to explore the culture of tea shortly. So with that, I better step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tan, for your eloquent words. I'd like everyone to welcome President Simmons for joining us this afternoon. As a student, I was very fortunate to sit on the advisory, subcommittee for the steering committee. And I saw firsthand the great work that Professor Tan, Shanna, and the other members did in holding and creating these great events. For every event that happens here at Year of China, one half is the organization that goes into its planning. The other half is drawing the curious Brown students to come attend. For our next speaker, I would like to invite the president of the Brown Chinese Student and Scholar Association, Ms. Yao Shuming, who has done a wonderful job in organizing a student body to come attend and help out at these Year of China events.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to be here and be a part of the closing ceremony of Year of China at Brown. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate everyone for the great success of Year of China at Brown. More importantly, I would like to express my appreciation for all the tremendous effort and help that Brown University offers, without which the introduction of Chinese culture, history, economy, and related activities would not be possible. During last year, Brown Chinese Student and Scholar Association, namely CSSA, worked closely with Brown University and Year of China Advisory Committee to promote Chinese culture and enhance the communication between China and the United States by hosting a series of events. For example, last September, we organized the Mid-Autumn Festival, performance, and mooncake tasting for all Brown faculty and students as a kickoff event of Brown Year of China. Chinese New Year Gala in February provided a unique and splendid perspective into real Chinese culture, giving people the opportunity to actually experience how real Chinese people celebrate the prosperous Happy New Year. Last weekend, we hosted a barbecue event to send off all the graduating seniors, masters, and PhDs to tighten the relationship of Chinese alumni and Brown University. Thank you all the members of Chinese Students and Scholar Association. Thank you for your time and devotion to make this year extremely memorable and enjoyable. Throughout history, there has always been a very close connection between Chinese students and the United States, especially Brown University. As mentioned by Professor Tan, the first Chinese students entered Brown over 100 years ago. From there on, the number of Chinese students here has been steadily increasing. Currently, there are over 600 Chinese students and scholars studying at Brown, pursuing a flexible yet diverse education. As a matter of fact, Brown University was founded by the Brown family who participated in the tea trades between China and the United States. That's why today we are fortunate to have our special Chinese guests and Brown representatives together here at this tea ceremony. We, CSSA, are especially honored to participate in this event because our discussion and the wonderful tea performance not only gave us the chance to learn more about the specifics of Chinese tea culture, but also to do our part to help promote tea culture communication and tea trades, and in a broader sense, cultural and economic communications between the two nations. As the student exchange between China and the United States became more and more frequent, we hope that in the future, we can help organize more wonderful and educating events like today, and build a stronger relationship and a better communication between Brown and China. Thank you all very much. Now, let's welcome our very special guest, the Deputy Consul General of Consulate General of China in New York, Mr. Wan Jingzhu. 让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎中国驻纽约总领馆副总领事朱万金先生。Welcome.
尊敬的校长女士，尊敬的张家坤会长，尊敬的谭教授，女士们、先生们，同学们，下午好。
Distinguished Brown University President Ruth J, President Zhang of Cross-Straits Tea Exchanges Association, Professor Tan, ladies and gentlemen, students, good afternoon.
我非常荣幸的能够接到这个邀请，来到布朗大学参加中国年活动的这样一个闭幕式。首先呢，我要代表中华人民共和国驻纽约总领事馆，对布朗大学校方表示衷心的祝贺，对于成功的举办这次中国年活动表示衷心的感谢。同时呢，我也要向远道而来的中国福建省的这个张会长以及他的代表团一行表示最热烈的欢迎。
I'm honored in receiving the gracious invitation to attend the Brown University Year of China closing ceremony. On behalf of the Chinese Consulate General in New York, I would like to send my sincere congratulations to Brown University. In the meantime, I would like to express my warm welcome to the delegation of the Fujian Cross-Straits Tea Exchanges Association coming from far away.
中美两国关系的健康长远的发展，离不开两国人民之间的相互了解与信任。布朗大学作为一个历史悠久、蜚声国际的这样一个学校，这一次组织举办中国年的活动，无疑将增进中美两国青年，尤其是中美青年知识分子，对于中国文化的认知和求索的兴趣。对此呢，我要向校长女士、向谭教授、向张家坤会长以及所有参与这次中国年活动组织的女士们和先生们表示最诚挚的谢意。
The robust and long-term development of the relationship between China and the United States is dependent on the mutual understanding and the trust built between our two countries' people. With a long and rich university history, the name of Brown University stands for high reputation in global higher education. The Year of China activity hosted by Brown University will surely enhance the young American intellectuals' understanding towards Chinese culture and inspire their intellectual curiosity to explore more. Further, being this said, I would like to express my genuine gratitude toward President Simmons, Professor Tan, President Zhang, and all of other organizing staff.
今天我们这个闭幕式的活动，将有一个重要的内容，也就是欣赏到中国的茶文化。因为茶作为一个文化，在中国已经这样一个5000年文明史中发生了非常重要的一个作用。应该说，从古代到现在，不管是帝王将相，还是平民百姓，他们都是把饮茶作为日常生活中间的一个最重要的组成部分。
Today, one of the key parts of our closing ceremony is the tea ceremony. Chinese tea culture weaves through China's 5,000 years of civilization history, from China's ancient time all the way to its modern days. Whether its consumers are king empire or ordinary people on the street, Chinese tea is an essential component of Chinese everyday life. Beyond this, for thousands of years, the Chinese tea culture, deeply rooted in common folks' life, continuously absorbed the rich ingredient from China's excellent tradition.
我想作为这个中国茶文化的发展，它已经成为不仅是百姓生活的一个部分，它也吸取了中华民族优秀的丰富的给养，融合了宗教文化的发展艺术。宗教、哲学、艺术等等的发展都融入当中，应该说成为中华民族精神家园和中国人民审美的这样一个最佳的写照。我想，接下来福建省代表团还要将给大家做更详细的介绍，我想我就不用多在此介绍。
Immersing with the essence of Chinese religion, philosophy, medicine, and art, Chinese tea culture has become the best portrait of Chinese national spirit and the Chinese people's authentic pursuit. I believe the audience will come to the appreciation when President Zhang giving his speech and from the tea performance of our tea artists.
最后呢，我要衷心的祝愿布朗大学繁荣兴旺，祝愿我们中美两国人民能够以茶为媒，以茶会友，不断的深入加强两国人民之间的理解和交流。
Eventually, I sincerely wish the prosperity of Brown University, and I wish in the future the tea can be further instrumental in promoting the understanding and friendship between China and the United States. That is, 以茶会友, be friend with Chinese tea.
我想也期待着接下来跟大家一起来欣赏我们中国的这个传统悠久的茶文化。谢谢大家。
Thank you today. Now, please allow me the honor to introduce Mr. Zhang Jiaqun. Mr. Zhang Jiaqun, the President of Cross-Straits Tea Exchanges Association, former Vice Governor of Fujian Province in charge of the Fujian provincial budget, foreign trade, local industry, and economic development. Former members of the Standing Committee of the CPC Fujian Committee. Former Secretary and Executive Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the Fujian People's Conference, Provincial Deputy to the 9th, 8th, and 11th National People's Conference. We'll have a nice slide.
尊敬的卢斯Simmons校长，尊敬的谭楚一教授，尊敬的李万金副总领事，各位老师、同学们， 先生们、女士们、先生们，大家好。
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished President Simmons, Professor Tan, and the Deputy Chief General, Mr. Zhu Wanjing. We are honored to be here today for the Year of China Grand Closing Ceremony.
我们很荣幸应布朗大学的邀请，来到这里开展茶文化交流活动。让我代表海峡两岸茶叶交流协会，向校方以及路斯西门斯校长、谭教授和朱总领事表示诚挚的谢意。
The Cross-Straits Tea Exchanges Association received kind invitation previously, and the warm hospitality today from our dear friends from Brown University and its Year of China Committee. On behalf of our association and the Chinese industry, I would like to say a sincere thank you to President Simmons, Professor Tan, and the Deputy Chief General, General Counsel, Mr. Zhu Wanjing, for coming today, and all the audience coming today.
布朗大学中国年活动丰富多彩，增进了中美两国人民的友谊。友谊是一种缘分。我今天演讲的题目是“中美茶友情深意厚”。
This year, Brown University of China has hosted a wide spectrum of academic and cultural activity to promote friendship between China and the United States. Friendship is predestinated to a certain extent. Therefore, my today's speech is titled, Our Shared Tea Destiny Breeds the Deep Affection and Friendship Between China and the United States.
茶是中国对世界的一个伟大贡献。英国科学家李约翰博士说，茶是中国继火药、造纸、印刷、指南针四大发明之后，对人类的第5大贡献。中国人的饮茶历史悠久，唐代陆羽写的世界第一部茶专著《茶经》中说道：“茶之无益，发乎神农氏。”神农氏是中国古代的部落首领，传说他最早发现了茶，距今已经有50多年的历史。从现代考古发现，饮茶至少始于汉。新玉堂、圣树一直传承到现在，至少也有2200多年的历史。
Tea is China's significant contribution to the world. British scientist Dr. Joseph Needham once described creation of tea as the China's 5th largest contribution to the human civilization, following fire powder, paper making, printing, and the compass. Chinese tea drinking tradition has a long history. The tea art by Lu Yu from Tang Dynasty, the world's first dedicated book on the topic of tea, once mentioned, Rustic first turned the tea into drink. Rustic was the leader of ancient China's tribe. It has been more than 5,000 years since he discovered tea. From the modern archaeological study, the development of tea drinking at least began in Han Dynasty as in 2000 BC to 220 AD, went through a booming era in Tang Dynasty, AD 618 to 907, culminated in Song Dynasty, AD 960 to 1279, and the last two today, in the total of at least more than 2,200 years.
饮茶带动茶文化的兴起，品茶成为风雅之事，成为一种健康的享受，受到世人的追捧。如今，茶已经传遍世界。据不完全统计，全世界有近20亿人喝茶。中国茶文化也随之走向世界。美国是一个与中国茶叶有着不解之缘的国家，茶叶为中美友谊谱写下了美丽的篇章。
Tea drinking fostered the rise of the tea culture. Tea drinking has become a graceful matter, a healthy enjoyment, and was sought after by people from many countries around the world. Today, tea has been spread across the world. Based on an incomplete statistic, nearly 2 billion people drink tea in the world, and Chinese tea culture is setting its foothold on the world stage. The United States has a deep bonding with Chinese tea. Tea has composed wonderful chapters in the history of China-U.S. friendship.
五一茶成为美利坚和中国诞生的催化剂。众所周知，1773年12月16号，一群化妆成印第安人的美国人民将停在波士顿港口英国商船上价值约1.5万英镑的342箱茶叶全部倒入大海。倾倒进大海的就是来自中国福建的五一茶。波士顿请茶事件成为美国独立战争的导火索，是美国的重大历史事件之一。五一茶因此见证了美国独立，成为美国建国的催化剂。
Number one, Wuyi tea catalyzed the founding of the United States of America. It has been well known that on December 16, 1773, a group of Americans disguised in the costume of Native Americans boarded the British merchant ships and poured 342 boxes of tea worth of 15,000 pounds in Boston Harbor. The poured tea was the Wuyi tea from Fujian, China. The Boston Tea Party incident was the key event in the close of the American Revolution and it remained iconic in American history. Being this said, Wuyi tea witnessed the independence movement of America and was the catalyst of the founding of America.
茶叶拉开了中美首次直接贸易的序幕。2009年11月16号中午，美国总统奥巴马在上海与中国青年对话开始后，谈到早期中美的关系。他说，美国独立的初期，乔治·华盛顿组织的皇后号的下水仪式，这艘船成功地前往大清王朝。华盛顿希望看到这艘船前往各地，与中国结成新的纽带。
Number two, the tea commenced the direct trade between China and the U.S. in the history. In the afternoon of November 16, 2009, when President Obama was talking about the China and U.S. relationship in the early days during his dialogue with Chinese young people in Shanghai, he said, George Washington commissioned the Express of China, a ship that set sail for these shores so that it should pursue trade with the Qing dynasty. Washington wanted to see the ship carry the flag around the globe and to forge new ties with nations like China.
奥巴马所说的皇后号，就在1784年2月22号，即华盛顿总统52岁生日的那天，载着一大批美国货物驶往中国。经过6个多月的航行，于1784年8月抵达中国。返航时购买了大量的中国货物，其中最多的就是茶叶，有红茶2460担，绿茶562担。皇后号的成功首航，拉开了中美贸易的序幕。上午我们参观时意外地发现，布朗大学图书馆还保存着乔治·华盛顿签署批准中国皇后号前往中国贸易的文件，证明茶叶的确是缔结中美两国人民情谊的重要商品。直到2010年，出口到美国的茶叶还是居中国茶叶出口的第2位。
The Express for China that President Obama refers to carried a full load of American goods and departed for China on February 22, 1784, on George Washington's 52nd birthday. It arrived in China at the end of August 1784 through more than 6 sails on the ocean. On its return trip from China, the crew also purchased large amount of Chinese goods. Among the top was the tea. It was 2,460 tons of black tea and 562 tons of green tea. The express of China's successful first voyage commenced the beginning of China and US trade. And it's to our surprise that when this morning, when we visited John Carter Library, we are surprised to see the library kept an original document by George Washington, his signature signing and approved the ship of extract China to begin the trade to China. Tea has since become important commercial goods that built the friendship tie between China and the US. Until 2010, the export to US was ranked second among China's tea export countries.
3.大红袍成为中美建交的传奇礼品。1972年，中美建交，美国总统尼克松访问中国时，毛泽东主席在书房里会见了尼克松总统，用自己喜爱的茉莉花茶直接接待尊贵的客人。在大红袍的故乡福建武夷山，还流传着这样一个美丽动人的故事。毛泽东主席还送给尼克松总统4两相当于200克的大红袍。尼克松总统当时似乎感觉到太少，周恩来总理闻之笑矣。尼克松说：“主席已经将半壁江山奉送给你了，并将其中的典故告诉他。这种茶极为珍贵，每年所产不计500克。我们的主席已经将他珍爱的一半家当奉送给你了。”尼克松总统听了以后肃然起敬，并深感荣幸。这一款令尼克松总统肃然起敬的茶叶，就产自武夷山的大红袍母树。现在大红袍的母树仅存3棵，以其数量稀少，采摘困难，自古就有后摘茶之说，滋味醇厚，闻名于世。
Number 3, 大红袍, the legendary gift at the beginning of China-US diplomatic relationship. When former US President Richard Nixon came to China in a trip to build a diplomatic relationship between US with China, Chairman Mao met Nixon in his reading room and treated this distinguished guest with his favorite jasmine tea. Yet, in the Wuyi mountain of Fujian Province, the hometown of famous oolong tea, Da Hongpao, has a story saying that afterwards, Chairman Mao sent Nixon 200 grams of Da Hongpao tea to Nixon, and Nixon felt the quantity was too little. When Premier Zhou Enlai heard about this, he comforted Nixon, saying, Chairman Mao has given out his half of the country. He further told him that Da Hongpao is extremely precious, and its national annual production is less than 500 grams. That's why Chairman Mao mentioned he has presented half of his family treasure to him. Struck by this, Nixon felt solemnly honored. The tea that made Nixon feel granted is derived from the Da Hongpao mother tree from Wuyi Mountain. Currently, there are only 3 Da Hongpao mother tree left. Its scarcity, its mellow-rich taste, and its procurement difficulty. In the ancient time, people sent monkeys to pluck the Da Hongpao grown near the cliff. Are the attributes that built Da Hongpao's top reputation among all varieties of tea.
4. 茉莉花茶发源地古里续写了中美友谊的新篇章。今年，中国国家副主席习近平访美，在美国友好团体欢迎午宴上的演讲中，讲述了他在福州担任市委书记时，从报纸上看了一篇古里的报道以后，立即通过有关部门与美国朋友加德纳夫人取得联系，专门邀请他访问她丈夫临终前念念不忘的古里。她到了丈夫儿时度过快乐时光的古里， 欣喜万分，实现了丈夫的遗愿。加德纳先生和夫人所念念不忘的古里，就是中国茉莉花茶的发源地。
Number 4, Jasmine Tea's origin, Guling, continued the new chapter of China and U.S. friendship. This year, Chinese Vice President Xi Jinping visited the United States. In a welcoming launch speech addressed to American friends, he mentioned that when he was the chief secretary of Fujian Municipal Committee of the CPC, one day he saw a newspaper report titled Guling, and he immediately contacted the American friend, the protagonist of the news, Mrs. Garner, through Fujian relevant channel. He sent a special invitation to her for visiting Guling that her husband missed so much before he passed away. When Mrs. Garner finally got to Guling, where his husband spent his joyful childhood, she was so excited to fulfill her husband's last wish.
古岭上的村民们也是用茉莉花茶接待了加德纳夫人。现在许多到中国旅游的美国客人都会上古岭喝花茶。茉莉花茶茶叶碧绿，汤色明亮，清香持久，滋味醇厚。公元925年，明王王审知还把它列为贡茶，如今已经列入我们国家的外交礼茶。
The Guling that stayed with Mr. and Mrs. Garner's memory is the origin and the production base of Chinese jasmine tea. The village in the Chinese in Guling treated Mr. and Mrs. Garner with jasmine tea. Now all American tourists, when they come to Guling, they will drink the jasmine flower tea. Jasmine flower tea has green leaf, clear color, and has light fragrance that lasting for long. And its mellow taste, it's very wonderful. In the 925, the king of the Fujian Province was assigned it as the tea that is to the gift to the empire, and now it become the diplomatic tea for Chinese, for our country.
5. 茶叶成就了许多美国商人的事业。英国剑桥大学教授埃伦·麦克法兰在他的著作《绿色黄金：茶叶帝国》一书中，把茶叶比作绿色黄金，他一点都不夸张。茶叶不但成就了英国绿部落帝国的事业，而且也成就了许多美国有志之士的事业。今天参观布朗大学图书馆了解到，布朗家族就是开展对华贸易的早期人士。建设布朗大学至今，有的就是来自对华茶叶贸易的积累。
Number 5, tea has led many American merchants to their success and fortune. Professor Alan McFarlane from University of Cambridge described tea as the green gold in his book, Green Gold Tea Empire, and he's not exaggerating it. Not only tea helped Britain achieve the status of Empire of Never Sunset, it also was the cornerstone of the business success of many American entrepreneurs. Today, this morning, when we visit Brown's University, we get to know that Brown family at the very beginning run the trade business, and the money they donate to and establish Brown, some of them are from his wealth generated from his trade with China on tea.
再举个例子，1860年，美国青年特德·弗朗西斯·秦斯来到福州，这座中国东南沿海的茶叶重镇，白手起家经营茶叶生意，收获了财富、爱情和家庭。特德用西方早期工业社会的产品换取驰名的无衣岩茶， 茉莉花茶，经过精心加工和包装，再卖到西方，终于使自己从一个名不经传的穷小子，变成了当时在福州赫赫有名的埃奇公司总经理。他的儿子查理斯·莱昂在福州出生，他按照中国人的习惯，给儿子取了个既吉祥又颇有纪念意义的小名胡森。后来，特特与家人一起回到了马萨诸塞州，行囊中珍藏着48张福州风景照。到了1986年，胡森的儿子西奥多·秦斯已经是76岁的老人了。他以古稀之年，远涉重洋，风尘仆仆地来到福州，送来了他祖父珍藏了48幅跨越了整整1个世纪的老照片。这一组老照片是秦氏一家与福州与中国茶叶结下了不解缘分的见证。他们在福州又品尝到了茉莉花茶的清香。
Another story. In 1860s, an American young man, Ted Francis Jones, came to Fuzhou, the most significant tea town in southeastern China, and the capital city of Fujian Province. He started from scratch of his tea business, and there he harnessed wealth, love, and family. Ted exchanged the prominent local black tea and jasmine tea with the Western early industrial products. Through refined processing and repackaging, he turned himself from an unknown man to the general manager of the then famous local company, Exceed. His son, Charles Lennon, was born in Fuzhou, and he followed the Chinese tradition and came up auspicious and commemorating nickname for his son, Fushen, born meaning born with blessing, indicating his son's birthplace was Fuzhou. Later, on his return trip to Massachusetts with his family, Ted carried with him 48 precious Fuzhou landscape photos in his luggage. In 1986, when Fuzhou's son, Ted Jones, at age of 76, crossed the Pacific Ocean and came far away to Fuzhou, he brought over the 48 pieces of picture that have over a century of history. The photo album is the proof of the shared destiny between the Jones family and Fuzhou Chinese tea. Ted Jones' grandson eventually tasted and praised the light fragrance of the jasmine tea.
19世纪，在中国经营茶叶贸易获得事业成功的，还有美国汉学界以及中国问题研究专家所熟知的卢公敏先生。这一位19世纪居住在福州的美国传教士兼茶叶商人，对福州这座城市进行了历时14年细致而持久的社会观察，并于1865年整理出版《中国人的社会生活》，又称一个美国传教士的晚清福州见闻录。茶叶成就了他在美国汉学界的地位。
People who achieved commercial success through China tea trade in 19th century also include Justice Doolittle, 1824 to 1880, a well-known figure in American Sinology Society and among Chinese study experts. The missionary and the tea merchant spent 14 years observing every aspect of the society in the city of Fuzhou. In 1865, Mr. Doolittle compiled and published a book that laid the foundation of his reputation in sinology study, Chinese Social Life, the late Qing Dynasty Fuzhou Travelogue from an American Missionary.
如今在美国，茶成为一种人所共知的饮料。和中国人喜欢喝热茶不同，美国人大多喝袋泡茶、罐装茶，体现了美国人讲究快捷方便的文化特点。我想告诉大家的是，喝茶不仅仅是解渴，而且是文化，是养生保健文化，是修养身心文化，是休闲怡情文化。通过泡茶，不但可以体会到茶的原生态的绿色的自然属性，还可以体会到 以茶会友的社会属性。我们希望美国朋友有更多的享受到品茶的乐趣，更好地发挥茶叶的健康养生作用。中国茶叶将让中美友谊之花开得更加芬芳灿烂。
In America today, tea is an everyday life drink. Yet different from Chinese preference of drinking hot tea. In most occasions, American drinks tea made from tea bag and tea in a can, reflecting American fast consumer goods culture. Today, I would like to point out for your interest. Drinking tea is not only about quenching your thirst, but it's a culture of taking care of your health, a culture of tranquilizing your mind, and cultivating your positive personality, and a culture of recreation and entertainment. From tea ceremony coming up next, you can not only experience the natural state of the ecological and green tea, but also its social implication of what we call 以茶会友, be friend with tea. To this end, I genuinely wish our American friends can enjoy the fun of making and drinking the tea, and wish those do good to your physical and psychological health. The Chinese tea will catalyze the more splendid blossom of the friendship flower between China and the United States. Thank you.
谢谢各位。
And now it's the time, the most exciting time for the tea ceremony. Frankie, could you come over and open it? Can you open it?
Do you know which PDF? Is it here?
This is PDF.
Let me connect.
Can you zoom in?
他最近写了一本书，刚刚出版，就叫《常春藤不染小子江小涵》。
And recently I come up with a book, and it was about my life and my journey to abroad.
今天我让他送给你，谢谢你对他的培养。
And today I would like to present to you my appreciation.
Thank you so much. Zero in on U.S. ID needs.
Thank you, thank you.
And I would like to present our top grade gift from our delegation group. And President Simmons and Professor Ten would like to come up to the stage, and President Zhang will present his choreography. And this thick book here is called Tie Guanyin Encyclopedia, and it encompasses all the aspects of Tie Guanyin, from its plantation to its processing, refinement, to its sales and marketing, and it encompasses over 1,000 years of Tie Guanyin history. And this is the choreography from President Zhang, his own handwriting. Okay. The Fujian tea's fragrance and the mellow taste. Is to the teachers, to the professor of the university, because you served our president and provide us with great educations and give us so many young and great students, and so that's why we serve the tea to you, in honor of you, President Simmons. Your character and your efforts, it's just like the fragment of the tea will last forever. Your guidance to our brown students, and we're here, all of us here are so grateful toward you serving one of our best university president.
你说刚才我们茶如果没有泡好，水没有开，现在茶叶带回去让校长自己。
If you feel the tea we just served you is not good enough and not made perfect enough, we'd like to present those each different type of premium tea to you for you to bring home, and we'll have others to tell you how to make the tea later time.
So music has always been a central place in Chinese culture, with a history stretching over 7,000 years. Many pieces originated from folk and opera music, from which emerged a more contemporary style. Different regions and different ethnic groups have distinct musical styles, forming a rich cultural tradition. Traditional music in China has played on solo instruments or in small ensembles of bowed and plucked string instruments, bamboo flutes, percussion instruments. Mr. Zhao Zhiming's group will perform Chinese music of several types, with various instruments including the erhu, the Chinese violin, the guzhen, the Chinese plucked zither, the piba, the Chinese lute, the dizi, the Chinese bamboo flute, and the yangqin, Chinese hammered dulcimer. Each music piece has their own story. If you listen carefully, you can discern the different musical elements within each performance. Finally, let me give a brief introduction of our three talented music performers and teachers. The first, Ms. Jun Qin, who graduated from the Sichuan Conservatory of Music, where she majored in guzhen. She's a member of the Sichuan branch of Musical Society and worked in the Chinese MA Film Studio. She was the first prize winner of the International Chinese Music Instruments Contest. Ms. Qin was given the Excellent Teachers Award in China, and many of her students have won first and second prizes in international and national competitions. Her performances have been recorded in movies, the NBC TV, and on CDs. She has also appeared in the Lincoln Center, the Juilliard School of Music, Columbia University, Harvard University, as well as in Atlantic City, Boston, Washington, Chicago, and San Francisco. Please welcome. Two more introductions. The next is Mr. Guo Zhangshun, who graduated from the Tianjin Music Conservatory and is a solo piba player with the Tianjin Provincial Dancing and Singing Troupe. He won the Best New Composition Award in the competition held by China's Central TV in 1987, and the first prize in piba at the National Competition of Ethnical Musical Instruments in 1991. Please welcome. Finally, Mr. Zhao Zhiming, who started learning bamboo flute and erhu at the age of 6. He further developed his talent in erhu and other traditional Chinese instruments at Banhu, Zhonghu, Jinghu, Gaohu, studying with Master Liu Mingyuan, renowned traditional Chinese folk music performer and composer. In his homeland, he earned first place in several nationwide competitions. Mr. Zhao Zhiming's formidable skill and technique have secured him an international reputation as a talented young interpreter for traditional Chinese music. Mr. Zhao Zhiming came to the United States in 1985 and played in the Chinese Folk Music Orchestra of New York as an erhu soloist and concert master until 1998. In 1998, he moved to Boston and formed the Chinese Traditional Music School in 2000. Since then, he continues to mentor erhu students, training a new generation of outstanding Chinese musical talent. Please welcome. Enjoy the performance.
Hello， 我们中国呀是个很大的国家，它有很多民族，56个民族，然后又有很多的地方，不同的地方有不同的音乐风格。我们这次呢，因为时间很短，只能尽量想办法带各种不同风格的曲子，所以这次带了几个。那一个我们后边要演奏的一个是这个叫小看戏，是我们北方的，我就是北方人，所以我改编了一下这个。那然后呢是后边还有一个京戏，也是我写的，不是我写，就是我改编的。因为太多的人告诉我他们不喜欢京剧，我觉得他们不懂，就是没有听惯，所以我就写了一个很小的一个曲子，在美国演奏很多场，很受欢迎的哈。就是我希望就是通过这些让大家了解我们中国不同的风格的音乐啊。
China, as a geographic location, is very broad, and there are 56 different ethnic groups of people. So each of them holds their own music identity. Because of the time here today, we're only able to perform very short snippets of a wide race of different ethnic groups and their traditional music sounds. So in particular, I'd like to introduce the next 3 performances coming up on the stage. The first is 小看戏, which translates to watching a troupe performance. It's from the northern region of China and was edited and composed by our famous teacher here. The next is horse racing, and through the music and tempo, you can sort of detect a description of a festive Mongolian dance. Finally, we have a very special treat. Our teacher here has heard many people say that they don't like Peking opera. And so in his heart of hearts, he's a little unhappy with this turn of scenes and wrote a short snippet of a Peking opera performance that has been widely performed across the United States. So our final performance is a Peking opera music sampler. Please enjoy.
on the stage, and please allow President Zhang Jiaqun and Chief Advisor to the Anxi County, Mr. Zhu Shuji, and we would like to invite you to serve the tea to President Simmons, Professor Tan, and the Deputy General Counsel, Mr. Zhu Wanjing. 那么现在我们邀请张会长，海峡两岸茶叶协会主席和安溪县委书记朱传能先生，将我们这个泡好的这个铁观音和花茶，这个奉献给这个布朗大学校长鲁什西门斯以及谭教授，还有我们的副总理事朱万金先生。
把这个层拉了，来，那泡啥了？泡了没？这一个。这边也是铁观音，铁观音我来讲。对，这个茶。
那就先请他们喝茶。